Hello, YouTube. Zephyr here again. I'm gonna show off some playtest of this game, Sworn. Did a review the other day. I like the game. It's good. I would currently probably give it a single thumbs up. It feels too much like Hades to me. And I want something a little bit more. But it has a lot going for it. It's got good bones, it's got good gameplay as it is. So, take my comments for what you will. I'm playing a pretty simplistic class here with these blades that recharge and these spirits that cost mana and just follow me around. So, anyways. Gameplay is too much like Hades. So this is my opinion. The fact that every single Fey Lord is more or less a variation on a god from Hades feels somewhat bland. A lot of these are very, very similar. So I'm just going to do a spell here. I have played this in co-op. I've played multiple hours of it. I'm not going to complain about like the balance of it because it's a alpha playtest. Like, it's pointless to me, at least. But I think it's going to always be compared to Hades as it currently is. The room structure is the same, the doors are the same, the shops are the same. The boons and a lot of the resources feel very much the same. But you have 4 different classes, each with 4 weapons, each with 4 spells. The spells and weapons can be mismatched. You can just do whatever you want with them, basically, as long as it's within the class. So it's a good game, but I don't love it. And that's my issue. I think it could be better if it moved away from Hades. And if it stays as it is, it's fine. I think there's plenty of people that want Hades with co-op. I think that's okay. I don't, personally, want just Hades with co-op. I think it would be really cool if the game did more with the classes. So this class, Spectre, has a couple different abilities that it can equip. And right now I'm using these knives. You get 5 of them. I think it'd be really cool to have a linear progression where you get more knives. And I know a lot of players want Daedalus Hammer to return in this game compared to Hades, where you get the Daedalus Hammer and it changes every aspect of something. I would love to just see some basic linear progression. Some just... I don't know. Everything in Hades, everything in this game, there's a significant amount of forced diminishing returns where if you upgrade a skill, a boon, it's weaker every time you upgrade it up to a certain point, which it basically gains almost nothing on an upgrade. We've got the secret shop, and this is a reference to the Well of Karen, and I didn't care for the Well of Karen. I don't care for this. It's not bad design or anything. It's just I don't care for it. And it frustrates me because it's just so similar. I just want to see something new. Something evolved. Something that's not just going to be overshadowed or condemned to the sidelines as, oh, that game was fun for 10, 20 hours and no one ever paid attention to it ever again, or it gets overshadowed by Hades 2, which is supposed to come out as an early access very soon, Q2. But simple things, more similar to some other roguelikes, I think would be really fun. You know, you got Risk of Rain, which has all sorts of stacking bonuses. You've got Halls of Torment, which has stacking bonuses. I think those kind of things are really fun. I think you could do that really well in a co-op oriented game. because this is a co-op oriented game, I think that that plays really nicely here. So, I mean, so is Risk of Rain. I feel like more could be done with the co-op. Ow. Right now, a lot of the co-op just feels like I'm playing single player with a friend who is also playing single player. And we're both just kind of going to our corners and killing things. I've played with a couple different friends, and this is more or less what has happened when we've played. Both times, we're both just using our abilities on a different enemy or the same enemy for the boss, killing the boss quickly, whatever. One of the developers has mentioned Aghanim's Labyrinth as an inspiration for some pieces of the game. Oh, hey, perfect. We got a trap room. This is actually a reference to Aghanim's Labyrinth, which had trap rooms in it. And trap rooms there were always elite rooms. Here they're just an event room, so they're one of many events that you can get. And they're not too bad. I've done this room before, so it's familiar. And if you get through it faster, you get more value out of it. I can't see with these clouds. That's really bad. Okay, that's not what I wanted, but controller's messed up there. So the boss rooms give you, or the trap rooms give you something extra there. Just some health to make up for the fact that you probably lost some in the room. In Aghanim's Labyrinth, there were forms of treasure, equipable items, because it was a Dota event game made by Valve, inspired by Hades. So more or less the same genre, if you will. And then killing bosses, it gives you, outside of the game, outside of the run meta progression. But I'd love to see it give inside of the run progression. And I've mentioned all of these to the devs in a little note. In Aghanim's Labyrinth, you got legendary shards. They weren't equivalent to the legendary boons in Hades or anything. They're a little bit different. Well, they're a lot of bit different. They're more similar to the Daedalus Hammer in that game. But see, I just got a bunch of crystal shards, Fey Ember, Grail Water, all these different resources. And I didn't get anything for the run, per se, which just feels kind of lackluster. By kinda, I mean a lot. A lot of the rooms are set up with traps very similar to Hades. Bosses are just not rewarding. In Hades, they're still meta progression oriented, and that's fine. I just think that there could be more non-meta progression, such as, you know, run progression. It'd be nice to see something that's, I don't know, semi-stackable or different, where it enhances your class. You have 4 classes, you have 4 weapons. You can do stuff with that. There's a lot of design space here. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of design space I feel like could be so cool. In Dota, you have 4 abilities. In this game, you have more or less 4 abilities. Light attack, heavy attack, spell attack, that kind of stuff. You can augment those with the Fey Gods, Fey Lords here, but I think you could just do so many more cool things than just adding poison damage or fire damage or whatever to an attack. And I know the devs have said the weapon blessings are coming for the final release. This is an alpha. I want to make these kind of statements before they finish the game, because I want to know, I want to see if maybe some of these personal issues with the game could be changed. I mentioned that I got 3 different resources in the boss room. I think that's really boring. Because, again, they're meta progression, and I'm full. I've maxed out all my meta progression. And the alpha is limited for some of that. That is more of an alpha issue, but there will become a time where you are maxed out in pretty much any game when it comes to meta progression. So these resources need to do a lot more, in my opinion, or just be removed. I don't know why we need so many. Gold is good because it's part of the in-run progression. You can buy items from the shop. You can buy boons or temporary buffs or whatever. I'm not a huge fan of the temporary buffs, but I know probably a bunch of people are. I like more permanent buffs where I am chasing something. I'm chasing a specific boon, or I'm chasing a specific... Let's do this. Whatever. I also like to go broad. I like the idea of being able to do a lot of different things versus just empowering one skill really deeply. Unless it's something really simple like attack speed or that kind of thing. I love stuff like attack speed over just damage or whatever. I do like spell system in this game because there's a lot of really cool spells. Some of them are more useful being just kind of spammed, or some are more useful being timed. What I'm using is just these little tiny little orbs floating around me. Let's see. I hate this fact that you choose a room for the banner and you get one of the options removed. I think more could be shown at the doors. I would love to see these doors show maybe 1 or 2 different Feylords, or specific rewards, or even specific enemies, bosses, mini-bosses, room types, something. A lot of these room layouts are really... They're very Hades, but they're kind of boring. We've got 4 traps. We've got a little lake in the middle, like... A bigger room, a differently constructed room, different enemy type spawns. Could be just so much more interesting. I don't mean to just rag on the game. I think it's a good game. I just think it could be better. It is not a day one purchase for me. While Hades 2 will probably be a day one purchase even in early alpha for me. Because my guess is Hades 2 will probably be less Hades 1 than this game currently feels. And I might be exaggerating some of the issues with this. Old man shakes fist at Cloud, but I just think there's a lot of design space that could be used for different things, and right now it's an alpha, so a lot of that's hidden or not finished. But I think a lot of it could just be done so much differently. And still feel really good. And still feel like it's, inspired by Hades, or inspired by Aghanim's Labyrinth, or inspired by Curse of the Dead God, or whatever else you want it to be, inspired by. Sure. I don't like diminishing returns. I think more things should be a little bit linear. You can have, like, the first pickup of a boon be, X% or X value, and then the follow-up could be, Y value, but then after that you always get Y value, so it can be more linear. Right now it's all up front, and it's expecting you to stack things in different ways. It's meant to play very much like Hades. It's mimicking the Hades diminishing returns in the same fashion. Forced diminishing returns, not linear diminishing returns. When I say that, that's what I mean. So right now, if I get an upgrade to my Immolate, which is my heavy attack right now, there's no menu to show this, but the counter in the middle of the screen there, the red one, is the Immolate. So here's Burning Strike. We've got level 1. We want to get level 2. We get this relatively big upgrade. So we go from 150% to 214%. You've got the same rarity and the same upgrade system as Hades. I just find that kind of boring. Just because I've already seen it. I've already got Hades at home. So, because all these are level 1, they're going to get a pretty big bonus. But you're looking at, hey, the first level is going to give you 150% bonus damage. So you're going from, you know, doing, say, 20 damage. I don't know what the damage is. You're going from 20 damage to, what is that? An extra 30 damage. So 20 damage to 50. And then, you know, you get another 64% for whatever reason, the math that they've got behind the scenes, the design here. You know, another 64%, but you're only going from like 50 to 62 there, something like that. Now, that's not bad. But if I keep upgrading the thing that I want to upgrade, because I can't upgrade my heavy attack except for that one thing, I'm locked in. I can only upgrade the attack that the Fae is attached to. And I can't stack two different Fae, two different boon types to... This is actually cool. I like the Gilded Armor. It's silly. Now I'm just like impossible to die, maybe. But yeah, so you can't get like two things affecting the same effect, same weapon or the same attack or whatnot. So you're locked in. It's very much like Hades. Yeah, you can get the duo and trios, and then there's like co-op specific, like round table whatnots that buff and affect the entire team, which is really cool. But I just think it could be cooler. That's all. And I'll reiterate, I'm not saying this game is bad. I'm just saying I think it could be better. I think it could have a bigger identity to itself and not just mimic everything that Hades did for progression and power curves and various other things. I'm just concentrating on the boss a little bit here, sorry. You see, I take no real damage here from having these defensive stats. But there's so much going on with the character classes that could be so cool. And I just feel like a lot of it just isn't. It's not super unique. It just feels like a lot of stat stick type stuff that doesn't actually mean much at the same time as it kind of does, but it just doesn't feel like it does. So boss is not very rewarding. Due to the playtest, this is the end of the region, the biome, as they're calling them. But right here, give me something special. Give me, maybe give you the weapon blessings at every boss. That'd be an easy little add-on. So at the mini-boss, maybe I get lucky and I get what I want, and I get a 6th dagger. Or this attack has, like, a double hit or something, I don't know. Just little things like that. Or just even, here's 10% attack speed. Here's whatever. But all of that is very heavily locked up in the Fey Lords. And you can see I have everything maxed out. I just want it to be better. I just want it to be a little bit something different. A lot of the heavy attacks are kind of lackluster. In Hades, they were like more special attacks than heavy attacks. So, like, you had the bow and arrow, which bow would have a charge up and it would fire and whatnot. But you could also have... Let's see here. Yeah, sure. Let's do it. You had the bow that just fired arrows. You could fire pretty quickly. But the special attack, not the, so to say, heavy attack, it did like a multi-shot thing. So it wasn't just simply a heavy attack. Like, this is my heavy attack right now. It's just kind of this little burst. Not that useful in my opinion. I just want something a little bit more interesting. So, like, for example, this heavy attack is a single hit. It's on a very fast attacking class. So most of the abilities on the Spectre are pretty fast attacking. And so I've got this kind of agility, mage-esque, mage/assassin, I don't know what you want to call it. The Spectre has a bunch of different abilities. So, like, you know, I turn into this dragon dive firebomb thing. Quite good. It's quite powerful. There's no default stagger in this game. So in Hades, if an enemy is not armored, you can stagger them pretty much every hit. There's no default stagger here. You do have to get the current staggering Phaelord to get any form of stagger on your attack. Unless there's, like, not stagger, this little knockback, but it doesn't cancel their charge or anything. Wrong ability. I'm not supposed to spam that. And these mini-bosses aren't bad. The bosses themselves aren't bad by any means. They're fun. Those are probably fine. I'm sure they'll grow. Barely got me by that. Okay, that was definitely my fault. So this is hopefully the last video I make on this. It's kind of like a follow-up review. I've played more hours. I've discovered what I want to discover. I haven't discovered probably everything. And that's just limitation of time commitment and capacity of that time commitment. Got other commitments in my life. I would love to see, personally, a different system where if your heavy attack is related to your light attack, and they should be probably entirely, that when I take a Phaelord, maybe it affects both of them, but it's not locked in. So if I take Fury, you know, it'd be nice to have it affect both my light attack and my heavy attack, and then I can still take, you know, Gog of Magog or whatever, which is kind of the earthquake dude. So you can see, like, I'm already level 2. This damage bonus is 32%. I'm only gaining not even a full 6% here. And I have to get the boon or the war horns to upgrade anything. And I just think it would be cooler if a lot more of it was more linear, more stackable. That's just me. And again, all this is personal preference. I feel like Hades 2 is probably going to show us something very different. Sequels tend to be different. And this game doesn't feel like it's just inspired by Hades. It feels just too much like Hades to me. The rooms, everything. So I know I'm just ranting on and on about this while I play. I think there's still really cool stuff, and I'll touch on that real quick here. So one of the things is that there are event rooms, and you can get curses on your character. And one of the meta progression things allows you to either remove the curse or gain damage from how many curses you have. I believe curse is generally just max health reduction. Or at least I'm pretty sure that's all I've seen so far. So like there's a curse that allows you to heal off of your weapon attacks. It might just be light attacks, but I think it's all weapon attacks. I'm not sure. I'd have to go look at it again. But basically you get like this vampiric ability. You get 1 heal, 1 health off of every attack you do. And because of this, it curses you with 50% health reduction. But then every time I pick up the Fairy Fire, the blue resource in the corner there, I get dash. And you can kind of swap some stuff around, but it removes like 10% of your curse or something. So about once a room, you might lose 10% of your curse. Stagger feels really bad against these bosses because they just have so much that you're generally only going to be able to do it like once in the entire thing. Ouch, that hurt. And then there's another one. There's another ability on the Constellation meta progression where if you pick up the shards, the purple crystals, then you gain like 5 max health or something. So like there's some different options. There's some different abilities. It's cute, but they're obviously just kind of straight out of Hades. They work. They're not bad game design. They're just not that interesting because we've already seen them, in my opinion. I love indie games. Most of my reviews are probably going to be indie games. Most of my complaints are probably going to be just any game. I tend to complain about games. That's just who I am. And I'm an older gamer, so to say. So I grew up on Civilization 1 or Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. And I like the simplicity of a lot of games. Like Diablo 2, I think it's one of those games where it's like just complicated enough, just complex enough, that it's probably one of the better games that it could be. And if it was any more complicated, I feel like for example, Path of Exile. I've bounced off Path of Exile multiple times. I just think it's overly complex for being a Diablo-like. Grim Dawn, even the devs have said they regret making the game so complicated, especially like too many damage types. But you know, many games, so like jumping to the resources again, many games only have 1 or 2 resources. Dark Souls has 1 resource. Souls. The end. And you get like Salt and Sanctuary. It has 2 resources. Gold and salt. Dead Cells, I believe, just has the 1 resource of cells. Technically, it has blueprints that you have to kind of unlock stuff. But those kind of one and done, and they're limited, and you're not going to be... They don't spawn if you've already got them. Grim Dawn only has 1 resource. Money, for the most part. There's kind of a reputation system in there. You could call that a resource, but it's different. A little bit different. More quest-based, a little bit. Anyway, I just don't see the need for 4 different resources. I think 2 would probably be great. Maybe 3 if 1 is hidden behind, like, boss kills. If you only get 1. Like Titan's Blood. Titan's Blood in Hades, I think, is great because you have to defeat a boss. Room done. Still don't like this. I think the door should be your selection more so than whatever this banner is. Like I can get another God Magog. I'm just going to do it. Whenever you stun an enemy, it releases a torrent of bile. So like here's an actual duo. This is a legendary, that's nice. But legendary is just the rarity of what it is. so to say. Let's see here. It's like you could remove some of your curse. I don't think I even have any. Spell deals bonus damage. You move faster. Your light attack deals more damage. I find these relatively boring because they're not changing how I play. They're just giving me more damage. Like, even if one of them was attack speed, that would be more of a change in gameplay than just pure damage, since I'm already getting damage from everything else. And like a lot of the heavy attacks, they're really slow, so having a way to get like attack speed, and I do mean stacking attack speed, linear gains, not this, hey, yeah, you found a boon that's worth, 20% attack speed, and if you upgrade it, you get 5% more, and then you get another 3%, and then you get another 2%, because it just feels bad to me. I just took this to get the curse, so you can see my health is crossed out. Went right through him. My health is crossed out. I found a fairy fire in a pot. Those don't naturally spawn. You do have to get the option for those to spawn from your constellation tree, your skill tree, outside your meta progression. But I picked up like 1 or 2 of them, and I lost the entire curse that I just took from the Hand of Midas. It's a really cool mechanic, and he just kind of went to his death there in the corner. It's a cool mechanic. But I think it could be accomplished other ways. And I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying it could be accomplished some other ways. So here we go. We've gotten to level 2. If we go, here's this level 3. If we go to level 4, it's, only 4%. Not really much here. And we're talking a 4% linear gain. So what's 4% over 38%? It's a diminishing return. It's only really a 10% bonus in damage. Which is not bad. It's not bad. It's just not, it's not that great. And so, I don't know. And damage doesn't really matter here. Sure. Sure. We're just going to the final boss again. And I've played the game enough that, like, I'm generally not going to lose these battles. I can take literally anything. And, I mean, that's just like Hades. You can, you play the game, you get better at the game. We're on phase 2 here, so I have to concentrate and not just run through things. And there we go. Got a bunch of water. We get some crystals. No big deal. Anyway, I've been going on for over about 30 minutes here. I'm just going to call it quit at the end of this. I've given most, if not all, of this feedback to the devs in some form. And they don't have to listen to me. I'm nobody here. I'm just kind of yelling into a mic. I don't even have that many subs, like, who cares? But I do feel like a lot of these ideas could be very powerful, and they could be very healthy for the game. But I do worry that we're just going to see these characters be very, I don't know, I don't want to call it bland because that just seems rude, but just not as interesting as they could be, not as fun as they could be. yeah, that's it. That's it. So if you like this game as it is, or you like what you've been seeing, you know, then my rant is probably pointless to you. But, you know, let me know if you agree with me in the comments. Something. Like and subscribe. And I'll be doing more videos like this where I just kind of rant and rave about a game and stuff. So, this is going to be my last video on Sworn for the time being. Playtest is ending soon. And, I will be coming back with probably some Diablo stuff in the near future. Call it a Let's Play. I'll be doing some hardcore probably. And I'll be playing my own mod of Diablo 2. And if you liked this rant, you know, subscribe.